welcome to Horror Franchise Wednesday. Let's talk about VHS Viral, a sequel that is very much hated by fans of the first two. So, what's my opinion? I think this movie is fine. It's not that bad. I don't think it deserves as much hate as it gets. I think it's mainly just the wraparound that's so terrible that everyone just thinks the whole movie is shit. But the segments within are actually somewhat entertaining. There's a lot to take from it that is enjoyable. So I don't think it's deserving of like the 4 point something it has on IMDb. That's just ridiculous. This isn't that bad. So, what do I like about it? The first segment, this one's about Dante the Great. It's a magician who gets this cloak. And I like the idea here. I think it's a little ambitious. There's a lot going on at the end, a big fight, the finale. I really enjoyed it. There's a lot going on there. There's some good ideas here. It's just not all that well executed. I like the look of the skeleton cult. The third segment, I think, is probably the weakest of the whole trilogy, maybe. But I like the look of the skeletons. There's a lot of just blood and heads getting chopped off, and it's just these punk ass skateboarders just going to town, just destroying and butchering these cult people, and then they come back from the dead. They have to kill them like 3 times, and then they turn into skeletons. And I just like the look of the skeletons mainly. Like, that looked pretty cool. And the second segment I really like because of how bonkers and goofy it is. But at the same time, I can see people like not liking it because of that, and I myself kind of wish it wouldn't have been as bonkers and goofy, because this whole franchise up to this point has been mainly serious and more scary and creepy, and then you get to this segment and it's just like, what the fuck? It's very goofy and bonkers, and I usually like that stuff, and I kind of like it here, so I'll give it I'll say it as a positive, but at the same time, I kind of wish that it was in a different movie and not in this franchise that's been more about the scares. Now, for my dislikes, once again, just like the first 2 movies, they just beat this stupid trope into the ground. They keep doing the stupid glitch trope, and I don't like it, where the screen glitches again and again and again. It's annoying. And then there's the first segment in this movie, like the last half or the last third of it isn't even found footage. It starts off like a mockumentary, and then all of a sudden there's just a fight going on and no one's filming it. There's no security footage that's taping this. There's no camera on the ground. They're not wearing GoPros. So that kind of bugged me. Like, you just broke the rule of the whole trilogy that this was all supposed to be found footage. These are all on VHS tapes. And now it's like, how the hell is this found footage? It's not. And the fourth segment that they cut out was 100% not found footage, for the most part at least. And so then, just like in part 2, I'm just going to say it again here. If you don't like subtitled, foreign films that you have to read, this one has a segment. The second segment is subtitled, so just warning you. Doesn't bug me. I'm able to read. I don't care. But just, I'm warning the people out there watching this who don't like to read their movies. So, and this one has a lot of CGI blood, some CGI effects that were very noticeable. Don't like that shit. If you can do gore practically, do it. All right. And the wraparound, holy shit! Like, the first one was awful, but this one's garbage. Doesn't even make a whole lot of sense. Like, I think they're just trying to do some kind of commentary on modern day society and people obsessed with like capturing shit on video, watching violence, and trying to get views and get shit viral. Like, I get what they're going for here, but it is not well executed. It hardly makes any sense. Like, by the end, I'm just scratching my head like, wait, what the fuck's going on? Like, all of LA is just going batshit insane. There's helicopters flying like to the ground, crashing. Like, the helicopter pilot is now possessed by this evil. Like, what the hell's going on in this wraparound? They cut back to this wraparound segment way too much. Way too much time is spent on what's going on outside of the segments within. Like, they keep cutting back to this guy on a bicycle. None of it's interesting at all. And then, like, the only thing that was semi-cool about this whole thing was the guy who somehow got himself stuck on the back of the ice cream truck, and his, like, legs were being dragged against the concrete and, like, being, like, ripped apart. Like, that was pretty cool to see. It was CGI, but still, it looked pretty cool. But yeah, there's just way too much time spent there. There's like a random cholo barbecue going on, and a dog gets a fucking grilling fork stuck in its head and has no reaction to that at all. That's goofy as hell. Doesn't need to be here. Cut that whole segment out. Just, it needs a better wraparound. That's what really weighs down the whole film for me, is the wraparound. Everything in between the segments and the beginning and end. Just rewrite all of that, make it more interesting, and you'll have a much better movie for it. And the third segment is the weakest because I just don't like these characters. They're skateboard punks that are just assholes. They're just foul mouthed and they're just boring to me. I didn't like them at all. I mean, they're badass when they start like fighting back, so I like that they're fighting back and they're not just little wimps, but still, I didn't like them as characters. There's not a lot of likable characters in this movie, and that just kind of bugged me. Final thoughts. This one is definitely a steep drop off from part 2, but it's still not as bad as everyone says. There's a couple of segments in here that are enjoyable. I was mildly entertained by it. Not very entertained, but just mildly. I wasn't really bored watching it. There's only 3 segments. Just watch the segments, especially the first 2. Skip everything else. So when it comes to VHS Viral, consider maybe streaming it, borrowing it from a friend, or renting it at Redbox. So, in the opening, we got this couple, and they hear sirens, and they realize that the chase is going on right outside their door. So they go outside, they're going to videotape it, and this cop gets ran over by this ice cream truck, and his CGI arm goes flying at the screen, and it just looks awful. And so then we get the first segment, Dante the Great. It's like a mockumentary at first. He's doing all these TV interviews, and it's the racist guy from Final Destination 4, or The Final Destination. And there's a brutal shower kill. I like that. This girl just in the shower being banged up against the walls kind of reminded me of the open of Terrified. And I like that he is able to like break all their bones and rip their chests open with just like a snap of the fingers. Like all that stuff looked pretty cool. It's very brutal, but there's just some CGI here. Like when the chest breaks open, it doesn't look like it's all practical. It just looks kind of rough. Ugh. So like I said, like I wish they would just do gore practically. I just don't like CGI. It's rare for CGI to ever really work in a horror movie, especially if it's a slasher, especially when it comes to like kills and gore. I want it to be left out of it. No CGI. And so, like, she knows that the cloak is responsible for him being, like, magical. How? Like, I didn't understand how she came to that conclusion. It's just like, it has to be the cloak. And then for some reason, after their long fight, he gets sucked into his cloak. And I don't understand how that happened either. There's a lot of questions that I have when watching this whole movie. And that's one of them. And we're going to have probably a lot more by the end of it. And like, seeing as how he was able to just snap his fingers, make people's legs break. He was killing these SWAT people left and right. He has the cloak on. He sees the assistant. He knows that she wants to kill him and take the cloak from him. He could just snap his fingers and fucking kill her. Like, why doesn't he? He has to like fight her a bit first. Like, I don't understand how there was even a struggle there. There shouldn't have been. It should have been over instantly. Just like, oh, you want my cloak? Too bad. Snap my fingers. Your neck's twisted. Like something like that. I don't know. Just saying. But then, yeah, and it completely stops being found footage during their fight. And then this one dude gets stuck on the bumper. Like I said, his feet are like being dragged against the pavement. But how did he get stuck on the bumper? I don't understand how that happened. Then this guy in the second segment, he builds a parallel universe, like a door, like a portal to a parallel universe. He sees him, a doppelganger, like it's him in a different universe. And they're like, let's go into each other's universes for 15 minutes and see what our lives are like in this universe. But once you see that he looks like you, he's wearing the same clothes as you, his laboratory, his office is exactly like yours, what is there to explore? You would just automatically assume that everything's the same, so why bother? So I don't know, but I guess he was curious if something really was different. But at first glance, everything seems to be identical 100%, so why go at all? But whatever. And I'm not sure what he's creating this device for, but that doesn't matter. He goes into the other universe. He finds out that they're into some pretty weird shit on that side. There's like human meat or animal meat in a bag, something like hanging in their living room, and they're like watching a snuff film or some guy like some skeleton on a cross burning, and there's just people fucking in the next door. Like you hear people moaning next door. There's just all kinds of crazy shit that's going on in this other universe, and you find out that the men in this universe have these monster penises with mouths and teeth and I think eyeballs, and then for some reason their faces start to glow as well. I didn't need that extra element of weirdness. They could have just taken that out. I mean, why the fuck are their eyes and mouths glowing? But then the women's mouths and eyes glow too, and I don't know why he punched that girl. He didn't need to. She wasn't going to stop him. So punching her was unnecessary, but I like that he did it because we get this awesome moment where when the other guy goes back, she kills him by putting his head in her vagina, and her vagina, of course, is a giant monster vagina, like on her stomach. It's like blood diner at the end. All these teeth, it just opens up and swallows his head. And she's doing that because she thinks that he's the one that punched her. And she's like, I'm exercising my right to kill you because of domestic violence. Like, that's the law. Like, if you punch women in this universe, they get to eat your head with their vagina. And then, I don't know what he did to his wife in his universe. Like, he was going to have sex with her, and she's got like all kinds of blood on her, but she's still alive. I thought he killed her, but she stabs him a bunch, killing him. So it's just a brutal ending and very absurd. It's just completely bonkers. And so then there's also a blimp that flies by with like an upside down neon cross. That was weird. So I guess they're a bunch of Satanists. And so then all of a sudden we cut to this Cholo barbecue, and there's a dog with a grilling fork in its head that isn't reacting to it at all, as if it's not there. And there's like CGI blood coming off of the grilling fork. It looks stupid. Take it out. Take this whole segment out. It's ridiculous. And then we get to the third segment with all the skateboard punks. And I don't like any of these characters. They're douchebags. Their stories are boring. This guy just keeps talking about whatever. And I'm just like, shut up, please. And then, so they go to Mexico. They're in California. They go to Tijuana just to shoot some stupid skateboarding video in hopes of making money off of it somehow on YouTube, I guess. I guess that's the whole point. It's VHS viral. They want to go viral with this skateboarding video. And so then they're attacked by all these cult people. They're like wearing robes and they kill them. And one of them like rips their arm off. And then they come back to life as zombies, and then they kill them again, and then they come back again as skeletons. And the skeleton look was pretty cool, but none of it really makes any sense what the fuck's happening. And then they show this creature coming out of like the sewer tunnel, and then we never really get to see it kill these other two. So we get these two punks, they survive, and they don't get killed by the end. That was pretty lame. Like, I would have wanted this to end with whatever that monster was coming out, grabbing those two skateboard punks off of their skateboards and devouring them. It probably would have been a CGI mess, but still, like, these two kids didn't deserve to live. They were assholes. So then we cut to another wraparound segment in the back of this taxi, and this woman's trying to get revenge against this sleazy blog runner. This guy has like this porn blog or whatever, and he just takes videos from angry ex-boyfriends of their girlfriends and puts them on his little website, and she's trying to kill him in the back seat, but then he gets the gun from her, blah blah blah, but then the car crashes and the end. And then this guy on the bicycle, he gets to the ice cream truck, he gets in the back, he sees all these TVs in it like in the first two movies, and we even see footage of segments from the first two movies playing on the TVs in the ice cream truck. And there's a button that says upload, and he hits upload to save his girlfriend, but because he hits upload, all of LA goes nuts automatically. That doesn't make any sense. I can't even wrap my mind around it. Like, what's going on here? So the footage from part one and the footage from part two, it's inside the ice cream truck, and it hasn't been seen by anybody except for the people watching them in the first two movies. Just, the PI in the second one and the assholes in the first one. He hits upload, and then everyone in LA automatically like gets it to their phone and they watch it and they all just go mad and die. Like, I don't understand that at all. It's just ridiculous. So then the end credits, for some reason, they're like an acid trip. It's just like all colors and just trippy. And I did watch the fourth segment, and I didn't. Let me take that back. I attempted to watch the fourth segment, but I didn't complete it because it was garbage. There's zero dialogue. There's just this supermodel looking chick walking around in high heels looking for a serial killer, and the killer ends up being like some kind of monster or something, and it's just fucking stupid. So, and it's not found footage at all, not in the slightest. So, my quick ranking of the segments, my favorite one was the Parallel Monsters. I give it the edge over my second favorite, Dante the Great, because this one actually was found footage all the way through, and it was just a little goofy, and I just like the goofiness of it, so I like that. And then my least favorite segment, of course, is the Bone Storm one, the skateboard punks. And I'm not even counting the fourth segment because to me it doesn't exist. So yeah, that's my ranking of the 3 segments. And what are your thoughts on this movie? What's your ranking of the segments? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, if you like what you've seen here, you can hit this like button and become a subscriber today just by clicking on my cartoon face in about 5 seconds. And remember, it's just an opinion. You don't need to get butthurt about it.